choke on. UK unveils devastating sanctions Lukashenko after EU plans failed. Britain has imposed the toughest sanctions on the Belarus dictatorship to date, after the EU's own efforts were accused of having no impact. In crippling measures unveiled by Dominic Raab today, the UK has directly targeted President Alexander Lukashenko. The new sanctions aim to target trade and finance with the regime. They prohibit the purchase of transferable securities and money market instruments issued by the Belarusian state and its state-owned banks. A ban on providing technical assistance to Lukashenko's private jets has also been imposed, and the sanctions prevent Belarusian air carriers from overflying or landing in the UK. The measures are far more hard-hitting than any that have been imposed in the past year. Brussels' attempts to sanction the regime have been criticized for being ineffective. Analysts say the measures from the EU leave Lukashenko largely unscathed and allow the regime to continue financing the economy and security forces. Mr. Raab said, "The Lukashenko regime continues to crush democracy and violate human rights in Belarus. These sanctions demonstrate that the UK will not accept Lukashenko's actions since the fraudulent election. The products of Lukashenko's state-owned industries will not be sold in the UK, and our aerospace companies will not touch his fleet of luxury aircraft." Officials say the new measures are a significant additional step in ramping up pressure on the dictatorship. They say the sanctions will specifically target Lukashenko and his close allies while minimizing impact on Belarus' general population. The measures were announced on the one-year anniversary of the country's fraudulent election, when Alexander Lukashenko clung on to power. The dictator has been in power in the former Soviet state since 1994. Lukashenko claimed an 80% victory in the election, leading to a wave of protests across the country. The president has already lashed out at the UK following the new measures. He told Britain to choke on the sanctions. He added, "You are America's lapdogs." The US has also announced fresh measures of its own this afternoon. In a sign the new measures unveiled by the UK and US may take their toll, Lukashenko has offered to start negotiations. He said he was inviting Western nations to a negotiations table to hold talks on the way forward. Britain has slapped sanctions on Belarus to pile pressure on President Alexander Lukashenko over human rights abuses of political opponents and journalists. The Belarusian regime took power a year ago in an election which critics said was rigged, leading to tens of thousands of people protesting on the streets of Minsk. Lukashenko, who is backed by Moscow, responded with a brutal crackdown on his critics in which many have been arrested or gone into exile abroad. The UK has now banned Belarusian potash and petroleum exports from Belarus, as well as restricting financial transactions by its government and state-owned banks. The measures also prevent their aircraft from flying over or landing in the UK and any technical assistance being given to the president's fleet of luxury planes. So far Western sanctions have done little to persuade Lukashenko, in power in the former Soviet Republic since 1994, to change course from his crackdown on political opponents. But Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said, "These sanctions demonstrate that the UK will not accept Lukashenko's actions since the fraudulent election. The Lukashenko regime continues to crush democracy and violate human rights in Belarus. The products of Lukashenko's state-owned industries will not be sold in the UK, and our aerospace companies will not touch his fleet of luxury aircraft." However, the Belarusian president said Britain should choke on the sanctions, adding, "You are America's lapdogs." EU sanctions designed to punish Lukashenko for the crackdown will leave him largely unscathed and able to continue financing the economy and his security forces, analysts say. Meanwhile, Polish authorities reported that a record number of migrants have crossed the Polish border with Belarus since Friday. Poland and Lithuania, which have seen a surge in illegal migration in recent weeks, have accused Lukashenko of using migrants to put pressure on the EU to reverse sanctions. Warsaw also believes it is way of hitting back at Poland for giving refuge to Krystyna Tsimanouskaya, a Belarusian athlete who refused to return home from the Tokyo Olympics.